My name is Jackie Bouey. I am a revenue operations manager at PandaDoc. Well, I did go to college because I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. That was my dream job. And I actually got my dream job. Like, I went to college, I got in a car accident, so that kind of made college take longer. And I had like 16 surgeries, and it was like a big thing. And so I eventually graduated with my bachelor's degree. I didn't get a credential because I didn't want to teach at public school. I just didn't want to, even back then, because this was like back in like 2006, I just knew, like when I graduated high school, I knew that like I just didn't, I think it was from that experience of like, I went to this really strict academic-minded Christian school that had like an oppressive environment. And then I went to public school where I was like, I love that I have this more free environment, but I'm not learning anything. And so I think that was why I wanted to go into education, where I was like, the perfect environment is like more free, but is academic focused and like inspiring and like teaching you actually, growing your mind and teaching you about history and teaching you rigorous academic stuff. I decided to give Praxis a try, like take a leap of faith. It totally paid off in the long run. Like it accomplished for me exactly what I was hoping to accomplish, which was it created a lot more possibilities for me. Instead of like, I can do this one career in this one type of school that there's not that many of, I had so many more career opportunities, earning potential. And even though I've stayed at the company that I was placed in for 8 years now, I've actually been in 3 different departments. When I think back to where I was when I started to where I am now, like I started at a SaaS company, showed up my first day, I didn't know what a CRM was, I didn't know what Salesforce was, I didn't know what SaaS stood for, I didn't know, like they took a chance on me with my, my personality and my eagerness and my skills. And now what I'm doing like in operations, like I'm not just working at the software company, I'm working in operations at the software company, and the stuff that I'm capable of doing and responsible for and how much I've learned about our product and all of the tools that our software runs on, and it blows my mind. And it was because of Praxis that I got that opportunity. I don't think I would have gotten my foot in the door there on my own. I was an SDR. But I wasn't calling people. I like to say I was like a glorified chatbot. I started out fielding, it was like before chatbots were really a thing. So I was fielding the traffic coming in on the website and vetting it and sending them either to support or booking them for a demo, doing discovery. And then eventually we actually built out an SDR function because the reps were full cycle at the time. So they were calling their own leads, but they were doing demos all day. So they weren't calling their leads right away and having that quick reaction, and they weren't doing really much of anything outbound at the time. So to say, like, I used to call their leads for them, and then eventually we like actually built out an SDR function, and the leads came to us, and we were able to like build that out. And there was one other guy, and we were kind of like the first 2 SDRs when we broke it out, where the reps weren't getting in their own leads, and we got to build that function out and like build that team up. And I was planning on going into the sales side of things, like from that SDR role, but I got recruited to become a customer success manager. And the timing was just really good. And because I had come from sales, everyone else in customer success had come from more of like a support onboarding, like let me be your order taker and just keep you happy side. Because I like came into customer success with all these sales skills that I learned from the sales team, I like stood out. I was way more like aggressive with like trying different ways to get the customers interested in talking to me. They were like way more interested in talking to me than prospects were, but still customers are busy. You're not the only, like they have a job, they're not there to meet with you. And so you have to give them a compelling reason to meet with you, even if they're your paying customer. Especially if you want to drive the conversation and not just like have them come to you when there's something wrong. And so I did really well, and they wanted me to like teach all the other customer success managers to do that. So when a management position came open, it just like was naturally, like I moved into it. I went to college and I did Praxis, and I'll say like even in 2006, which is a long time ago, I felt like I wasn't learning. I felt like I was there, and I felt like we're pretending. That's what I told my mom. I said, they're pretending to teach us, I'm pretending to learn, and then my employer's gonna pretend that I'm more qualified than I was before I did this. Like I felt that way, what is it now? almost 20 years ago. When I when I started college, I almost graduated high school 20 years ago. And I've also done Praxis. And college, since I went, has only gotten worse in the ways that I felt like it failed me. Like that it just wasn't, it wasn't living up to my expectations of what I thought I was gonna get at college. I thought it was gonna be like, I was gonna be learning so much, and it was gonna be really like amazing, intellectual, challenging conversation and new ideas. And it just, like, it really, I felt at the time that it was like an indoctrination factory. And that was 20 years ago. So I know it's gotten way worse, and it's gotten way more expensive than when I went. When I went, it was a lot less expensive than it is now. And so I think that like Praxis is such a smart move. If you're, if you're don't want to be a lawyer or a doctor or something where it requires you to take a very specific path to get a very specific credential, if you're interested in anything creative, anything business related, like definitely go the route of Praxis. When I was in a hiring role at PandaDoc and I interviewed people, I only ever asked anybody about their college experience if they didn't have any work experience. If they had work experience at a Wendy's, I was asking them about their work experience more than I was about their college experience. And it almost never came up. I think there's only one time ever that I asked anyone a question about their college experience, and it stood out to me because it was so, I was like, oh, I have to come up with different questions for this person, So I think it's so much like that. Like, the skills that you learn at Praxis are going to be so much more easily applicable to a job and to getting ahead in life. Like, you're not going to be starting out in the pit of so much debt, and also trying to like pigeonhole yourself by picking, I need to choose what career I want to have and like invest heavily in that very particular career without knowing a lot of information. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I have a daughter, and like I hope that she'll do Praxis or do something else someday, unless, like I said, she wants to do a very specific career path that requires that. Anything outside of that, I just don't think it makes sense.